Hey there. So I wanted to do an update at the end of the day today and just talk about what's going to happen tomorrow. Will be our last day here, and I'll show you what I want to get done. So today, this is the burn pile, and this area of greenness on the ground is all the weed whacking that was done. So this is about 8 feet. A lot of the Japanese knotweed in there was around 12 feet high, and I went in and I weed whacked all that down, and I uncovered the old burn pit, the old burn pile there, and this is the new burn pile. I'll walk around and try to highlight it a little better. So there's a big dead elm here. It'll have to come down at some point. That limb is broken off already and about ready to come off. So I just noticed that now. There's another dead elm here, and then there's a dead ash tree here. So now we have access to get all those trees down. And when we do, we should work on more on the invasives in here, but that'll be another day, another time. So the weed whacking that took place in here today was hot and heavy. I was able to get right up to the edge of this mess, which is bittersweet. And the bittersweet has actually torn down some of the sumac that's in there. And those tops of those trees are laying in there, and the bittersweet is just knitting its way into a solid mass in there. So I'm going to recommend that Alyssa and her dad rent a mini excavator and just come in and grub this out and smooth it, grub and smooth, and then grab this whole mass and pull it over to the fire pit and burn it. They'll rip these trees apart and stuff, and then we'll be able to come in and weed whack that to keep the bittersweet at bay from that point forward. But of course, this is all these trees. There's the path to the dump area for the goat shavings or the duck shavings, and then the other trail that goes out back. But this whole area in here is all bittersweet. That all needs to be worked on. You can actually see the lighter color up there. That's the fresher leaves on top. And it's just dripping down. All the berries are on it now. So tomorrow when we come, which will be our last day, I'm gonna start on this edge here and take out some of these trees that are leaning out. So like there's a cherry there, and take out some of these smaller guys. I'm gonna leave a beech in there and then weed whack all the bittersweet down in there so that it looks more like this area and can be maintained. We're gonna take a couple more saplings out of here, and we're gonna chip into this area. I don't know if you can see it with the sunlight the way it is, but there's some old debris that got left there. I took some of it out, but some of it's just too rotted. So we're gonna chip over the top of it, and we're gonna try to, smooth this off so it makes a little bit more lawn that can be mowed and weed whacked up at the edge. So here's the corner of the fence. And we're going to do some pole saw work up in here. We're going to remove some of these tree tops, possibly all three of these smaller trees, leaving the larger ones. Because those are all leaning this way, and they're eventually going to have to be removed so they don't fall on the fence. I'm going to try to cut a little bit more of this sumac out of here. It's just kind of stuck there, and we'll cut that locust out of there, even though it looks like a fence post. It's not. I'll take a pole saw and take a bunch of this dead wood out of the apple tree, some of the dead limbs, It's not going to restore it, but it'll be less ugly. And then starting here, we're going to be taking out all these small locust saplings and weed whacking some of the wild rose that's all in there. Wild rose starts over here, and it's just, the pressure from it is massive. So we'll do what we can to push it back a little. We'll take out all these locust saplings. You can see what they're doing. They're bending out over the fence already. And take out more of those saplings there and there. And then there's little saplings in here. We're just going to clean all this up, and that'll give us access to work on this upper canopy and maybe drop some of these trees this way into an open area that doesn't exist right now. And the same thing with this little clump. I'll take all the small stuff first to open up as much space as possible. We'll push back all that small stuff, and then we'll see if we can make some lanes where we can drop some trees along the fence without hitting it. But we'll pole saw all these limbs off first so that we can protect it as much as possible. And see if I can go over the fence here. So that was the pile of logs. There's probably about 5 more grabs of wood to go into the burn pit, and then I'll put the bucket on and pick up the rest of that debris, smooth it off. There's a little pile of debris right there. And once I flatten that all back out, we'll dig out some of the roots of the blackberry bushes and throw all of that in the burn pit. And then now that can all be mowed. I got the bee's nest out of there. So we have a backyard for the dogs that are coming soon. We'll be working this side of the fence as well to get rid of all this loose stuff, and then it will be handwork from there to cut it all out of the squares of the fence. So the pond is back there. It's pretty dry. It's all fern right now, and invasives just creeping in. And of course, this is all Japanese knotweed. My fondest desire would be to take these 3 little trees down, pick up all the brush, and then go in and knock that all down. But we only have 1 day, so 1 day left. Once I finish all that stuff, I'm not making any promises, but my goal is to go over here in front of the truck and walk over there now. And where I stopped weed whacking, so I stopped about here and cut the tree that was across there. I cut that all up and threw it in the pile. I'd like to get the rest of that tree out, but it's all tied up with bittersweet in there. I tried to rip it out with the Thomas, but it's either got roots or it's just too tied up with all that stuff. And the bittersweet is just cascading out over here. It has all these trees bent over with the weight of it, and it's just ripping everything to the ground. So if I have a little bit of time in the afternoon, I'm going to work on getting this log out and cutting, bittersweet just tied to the ground, wrapped around this tree. It's just wrapped around everything, and it goes from tree to tree. It really has no give. You can't do anything with it unless we cut it and tie a rope on it and pull it back with the machine, try to rip it out of the sky. It's just got to be piece by piece to feed it in the chipper, and we'll just do our best. But that's kind of the last priority for the day. I really want to work on the fence line first. But I feel good about today. We cleaned up all around the burn pile. So now we can have the fire there and not worry about, setting everything on fire. Everything's pretty wet in there, so it'll burn slow anyway. But yeah, so that's the update. That's where we're at. That's what we do. Total home makeover, day 5.